Hey guys, welcome back. Episode 40 of Star Wars Year by Podcast with me, Hawes from Blue Harvest, and our good friend Steele from Steele Wars. This
Hey
is our
everyone.
this is our Star Wars history podcast where we go page by page, year by year through. One of us goes through the book at least. The Star Wars year by year, updated and expanded edition book.
So, what's the deal? Have you unpacked all your boxes, your book boxes?
So, yes, that's the concerning thing. All my books are unpacked. Now, I still have boxes with stuff in them that I'm getting shelving put up currently to get all that displayed. And I can't foresee that year by year book being in a box of Star Wars toys or video games, right? So, I can't imagine what happened to that book. I don't know. My Nintendo Switch was missing for like 8 or 9 months before I found it.
I reckon you'd be able to buy this book somewhere for like $4.
Probably. I could probably go to. We have a nice like secondhand bookstore here called Second and Charles. I bet you they probably have it for
Oh no, I
pretty
mean
cheap.
on the internet. Have you heard about the internet?
Yeah. Sometimes I got to get out of the house though. I kind of stay here all the time. So
Nah, yeah, but deal's a deal, bro.
that is true. I guess I could go out and do something else besides look for this book that I used to own.
I reckon you'd, without question, would be able to buy it for, and the biggest price would be the shipping.
Oh yeah, probably.
I do have another one in Australia, but it's in Australia. Different
Yeah.
cover though. Hasn't got the cool new cover.
Oh, okay. So is it the older version or is it one of the new? Because I know they've put out a couple of revisions since we've started this show.
I feel like mine's the pre-Ray
Okay.
version.
Yeah, I before they closed the bookstore closes my house down, I was looking at one of the newer ones
Mine came in
and
that slipcase.
yeah, mine too. Um and the newest one that they had there was a paperback and I said, "I'm not what is this? I'm not getting this paperback."
Paperback. I I I I, I I recently in the past year had had this ongoing argument with Jacqueline
Uh-huh.
about paperbacks and hardcovers. And she just would not believe me that new release books came out on hardcover first and then 6 months later or whatever they come out on paperback. She just would not believe me.
Sometimes longer than 6 months, I feel like, too, for the paperback. Isn't
And
that still how it is? Don't they come out with hardback first?
yeah, that's
Okay.
like, I'm not I didn't bring up the story to then say I was wrong.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I didn't know if maybe publishing had changed and they release them simultaneously now or something.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? I'm sure there are exceptions to the rule, but if you're
Hmm.
dropping a like
A big book, yeah.
a big book, you go on the hardcover because I do remember the and it's not till next episode, but Heir to the Empire. Like I had the paperback versions, but
Yeah,
then
me too.
when you'd see the hardcovers, it's like it's pretty sweet. And I know a few people have got like hardcover collections,
Hmm.
and like as far as having a book collection, I just could not care. But they do look pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm a hardcover guy when possible, right? Do you remember?
I'm a hardcover guy.
That's me. Now, this is a few years before we get to this, but you remember when they started doing the new Jedi Order series of books? First one was Vector Prime, right? Hardcover. And then they would put out paperbacks in between that didn't have a hardcover release before the next sort of big hardcover book. Hated it. Looked so silly on a shelf because you want to put them in order.
Oh, I did a mock up of a sticker that just somehow fits with this. Ready?
Uh huh.
Not for Star Wars.
Whack shit is a crime. Yep, that is. I agree. I agree, buddy. And then years later, I found out
Because
that
that's some whack shit.
I agree that I guess. Do you remember Sci-Fi Book Club subscriptions that you could get back in the day. I guess some of those sci-fi book clubs did hardcover versions of those books that only came out in paperback. And
Ah,
they are super hard to find and very expensive when you do find them.
yeah, I'm not into the inflated secondary price of a book. I find that nauseating.
It's got to be something real special for me to be into it. You know what I mean? Like,
Nah, screw it all. I just don't like it existing. Like I've got a few skateboarding art books that are now worth like, $300-400 when you look it up on eBay, and it's just like, it's just annoying.
yeah.
Like I don't like sometimes things being worth stuff. Like it takes the fun out of it. But should we? We are in the second half of 1990.
Okay, good year.
A veritable wasteland of Star Wars news and happenings. I would have been, I guess, towards the end. No, in the middle of high school, right in the middle.
Okay.
High school works different in Australia. It goes for 6 years. I think there's.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I think
so,
I think you guys split them into 3 different. Like, we just have like primary school
and then high school.
and then high school.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would have. Let me think. I wonder if I'd started drinking alcohol as yet. No, I would not have. Pre-alcohol.
Okay. Okay. I was definitely pre-alcohol because I was 7.
Give it a year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think I would have been. I also was not into Star Wars at all at this time. Like I would have thought it was like cool still. Like Star Wars is sick.
Yeah, but you weren't like into it because there wasn't a lot to be into at this time, right?
Yeah, like there wouldn't have been much of a trace of Star Wars in my room. It would have been all skateboarding, Simpsons, a lot of Simpsons stuff. But I didn't really get into like having Star Wars stuff out again. It may have been in a year or two. I'll have to look it up because it was when the skateboarding video magazine 4-on-1 episode 3, I believe, with Jason Rothmeyer, and he's a pro skater who I'm friends with. He's down in Long Beach, and in his little article they did about him, he showed off all these vintage Star Wars toys and his Revenge of the Jedi poster, and I was like, oh, he's got his Star Wars toys out. That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
But we did a podcast with him back in the day. You might remember.
I do.
And yeah, he says, because he travels around the world still because he judges a lot of contests. And it's just like, I never not get, like at every event I ever go to, someone will say, you still got those Star Wars toys? Like,
that's awesome.
So, yeah, we're just in a very bleak time for Star Wars news, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't think. I wonder if there was Star Wars things going on, how I would have reacted to that.
Yeah, like I'm trying to think of. Well, I mean, and we've covered some of the Star Wars stuff that's been going on in these years, and honestly, one of the biggest avenues for Star Wars content would have been like the West End Games role-playing game, like the pen and paper D&D, but Star Wars, right? And I can't imagine that would have. I remember seeing those books around this time and being like, oh, that's cool, and flipping through them and being like, I don't understand this. What is going on here? But that was about it from what I can remember around this time.
Yeah. I do remember because, like, super into skateboarding at this time, And a hub of skateboarding, still to this very day, is in the Melbourne inner city suburb of Paran.
Mm-hmm.
And they had like, they've over since the like late 70s, they've had an evolving skateboarding park that has been done. They've got the third version of it, essentially just went up. But in Paran is very similar to where I live now, like Melrose. They've got Chapel Street, which, you know, like in the 80s and the 90s was quite a cutting edge place of like dining and shops and stuff like that. And both, sadly, in both locations, due to malls and the internet, you know, they're a shell of their former self. And and don't forget street crime. But so they had a lot of in Paran and on Melrose, like, you know, record shops and comic book shops and all that sort of cool, and, you know, cool clothing shops, vintage stores before it, you know, became a thing. And I remember my friend Jamie, he said to me, "Oh, hey, there's this shop on Chapel Street that sells old Star Wars toys." And I'm like, "No way." And so the next time we went up there, because we lived like 2 hours away, we were like in the country, and he showed it to me, and I remember the figure. I can't remember what figures, but, you know, all Kenner, whatever. And they were in the like the $15 to $30 price range with weapons.
Okay, so yeah, I remember this time. Yeah, and thinking that's insane for $30 for a Star Wars figure.
Disgusted. Just like, I was like, how do you sell something that's old for more than what it was worth? Like, how is this we've got to call the cops.
Yeah, this would have been around the time that I was really getting into comic books and going to my local comic book store, which is where I would see those role-playing game books. But they had right at the front in like their glass counter where you could, you know, they'd have your magic cards laid out and stuff, but they would have a selection of vintage Star Wars figures. And I remember looking, you know, I probably had like $5 to spend at the comic book store, looking in there, and they had a Return of the Jedi Luke with the, you know, the cape and the saber and everything for $9. And I was like, they're insane. $9 for that figure. I'm gonna get it.
Did you get it?
Eventually, yeah.
It was weird in that shop. It was called Classic Collectibles, and like like one of my favorite shops to drop into. But I do remember being in there, and they were doing a live cross. This is like years later. They were doing a live cross to New York on the radio. They had the radio playing to get reactions for the Seinfeld finale.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Because the Seinfeld finale, you know, it didn't come out in Australia for, you know, at least a month, I would say, maybe more. But yeah, and it was like such a world event that they were like, "Oh, what's the reaction like?" And just like being in the shop, just like fascinated, just like can't leave the shop, got to keep listening.
Oh man, yeah. I remember asking the guy at the comic book store if they had a Millennium Falcon, because I really wanted the Kenner Millennium Falcon. And he was like, "We get parts for them in sometimes, but we don't have a complete one." And he said, "You know, there's this antique shop here in town that they've got one, and I'm not sure how complete it is." And I remember talking my parents into going in there with me, and it was still in the box, unopened, this Millennium Falcon.
Oof.
$25.
Oh.
$25.
Well, around the corner from Classic Collectibles down Greville Street, there's like people that are in Melbourne are like, oh, they just know all these spots for sure. There was a vintage shop that was there that was mainly clothes, but they did have a loose but probably complete Imperial shuttle and an AT-AT. And I remember like going, oh, would love to get that. And then like going in there and it was like they were $120 or something, and just like going, you are off your rocker, bro.
Yeah, buddy. I can't even imagine what a complete in-box Millennium Falcon would go for now, you know? And plus, like, how did someone back then, that's the thing that confuses me, is how did people have the wherewithal to not take all this stuff out of the package? Right?
Well, a lot of times they would just like stuff out the back of a toy shop.
Yeah, a lot of times it's stuff that didn't sell, and then, you know, stuff like that. I get that, but still, the idea of getting something Star Wars related at that age and not taking it out of the packaging, insane.
Well, I've told you about my mega haul that I got on eBay in Rosebud, very oddly, that sort of filled out a major part of my vintage vehicle collection.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it was like AT-AT with the guns, TIE fighters, an X-Wing, snow speeder. What else did I get in that? Like some Hoth bases.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And tons of figures with like weapons. And he had all the boxes, right? And the thing he did was it was no shipping. So you had to pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
So that really limited the amount of interest.
People that were going to come try to check it out, yeah.
Yeah. And it just so happened it was in my hometown, but I lived in Melbourne at the time. And, you know, this is like years later. And I won it. And it was like $700 or something I won it for, right? And I couldn't get onto him. And I'm just like, it was one of those things, too good to be true. Too good to be true. Because he had all the boxes. And I remember I just sold the boxes by themselves on eBay and made like $1,200.
Oh, really? You just sold the empty boxes afterwards?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't want the, like, you know,
that's
boxes.
a lot of room. Yeah.
And also get that sweet scratch back. But I said to him, I said, hey, why do you have all the boxes and stuff? Like, and I actually went to his house. Like I drove down there because I somehow got his address. And I like looked through the window to see if any, like I was like you've made an agreement to sell this. Like I want, and I said like, why do you have all the boxes? And he goes, oh, when I was done playing with them every day, I just put them back in the box. And I was like, we grew up in the same town, but we grew up very differently.
Can you imagine all the disassembly you'd have to do to put them back in the boxes?
I don't know. Also, my mum wouldn't have let me keep the boxes.
No, mine either. Mm-mm.
It was like, get that out of there, baby. But that was a sweet find. A very
that does not happen anymore. That's maybe a Star Wars vehicle, depending on the one you're going for.
Yeah. Well, now that all that same thing has happened to skateboarding, like skateboarding now is like, I used to buy old catalogs because I like to remember the old graphics and stuff. And then I, get ideas to do stuff for the shop and that. And, you used to be able to buy them. If you bought one for $10, it's like, that's got to be a good one.
Right. Yeah.
And just over the last year, just any crap one now is just getting listed for like $40-$50 for a catalog.
Yeah. A catalog, buddy. I get it. Something that I remember years ago looking for a specific issue of Nintendo Power, right? Which,
big afternoon for Hawes.
Yeah, it's a Nintendo magazine that was done by Nintendo back in the day. And there was a very specific issue I was looking for. I want to say this might have been around 2007. Maybe it was right when I had moved to Birmingham. And finding the issue I wanted in really good condition, and it was like $30. And I was like, that's way too much. I'm not going to get that. And didn't think about it anymore until somewhat recently. I was looking for it again, and it is way more than $30 now. Way, way more than $30.
That's what I mean about things just getting like it's just like, oh, I just want to flick through the.
Yeah, I just want it for my stupid little Final Fantasy collection, and now I gotta save for 6 months. I'm not actually gonna get. It's too expensive for me to even bother getting it.
It's a bummer, but it's good that we're filling in for the lack of Star Wars news.
Yeah.
But I will get into it as we are between the trilogies for May to December of 1990. Of course, if you are listening to the podcast version, you can click the link attached, and you can go to the YouTube, the secret link, and you can watch it as if you want to see what we're talking about, or you can be a sicko like Catherine Neen and have the video and the book out, and you just go on to town. But we have got a last episode, which was last year. We did talk about the 10th anniversary of Empire Strikes Back, getting a poster, and there is a second one, Style B in May. The Style B Silver Mylar, the Empire Strikes Back 10th anniversary poster features Luke riding on a Tauntaun inside a stylized number 10. Now, if there's one thing they loved in the early 90s, it was some sweet, sweet Mylar. Have you ever come across some Mylar, Hawes? How would you describe that to the lay person?
Mylar. So I think nowadays Mylar is mostly used for like party balloons, right? Aren't those Mylar balloons?
That's my sort of party.
Yeah, those. So like if you see someone with the big number balloons for their birthday, that's a Mylar balloon. It's kind of plasticky. A lot of times it's got like a shiny element to it.
They better.
Crinkly. It makes crinkly noises, Mylar.
Oh, well, you don't want to crinkle up these posters.
No, certainly not.
There is a chance I own this poster.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yes, in my archives, which I will... I hope I'm sitting on a small fortune.
You might be, buddy.
Because there was like later on, once I think prequels, that's when I was involved with the Star Wars fan club, Star Walking, and quite often there'd be people that were selling off this stuff, for pretty cheap, like $50 or and so I was like, getting all these sweet things. And I feel like this is one of the things I got and never hung up, and it will be rolled up in a tube somewhere. But a tight bit of action. What do you make of that? It's hard because you can't really see in the picture the Mylarness. It just looks like a white and black.
Yeah. I like it's okay. It wouldn't rank as one of my favorite Empire Strikes Back posters. I do think it's an interesting little piece of history.
Yeah, 10th anniversary.
Yeah.
So weird.
Man, I'm looking right now at Star Wars Mylar posters on eBay. I haven't come across that one yet, but there is one that's $10,000.
Oh, what one?
The Coming to Your Galaxy this summer, the advanced poster. So that one makes sense. There's also, I actually kind of like this one. It's the 10th anniversary of the entire trilogy. So it says 1977 and 1987 Star Wars, the first 10 years, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And it's a gold Mylar poster. I think it looks pretty nice. $600. Not that nice.
I wonder. Because I definitely bought a bunch of posters and never even took them out again.
Right. Yeah. You
And
might have some money, buddy.
some mile of money.
Uh-huh.
Alrighty. Let's head to the Muppet Cave, and you're gonna get this.
That Empire Strikes Back poster is $3,000. I just found it.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Is anyone buying it though? That's the thing.
See, I didn't look at sold. I just looked at listings. But
Because you can list something for whatever.
that's true.
That's the thing about the skateboarding catalogs. It's like no one's buying like
Right. Yeah.
a 15-year-old Element catalog for $60. They're just not doing it. And if they are, hit us up.
Let us know. What are you doing?
Like,
Why?
No, I've got some catalogs to sell you, bro.
Oh, for sure.
All right. Also in May 16th, Jim Henson, the creator of the Muppets. Oh, this is not what I expected. The creator of the Muppets dies of an infection of streptococcus. Actually, I got to put on my reading glasses for this one.
Strep throat.
Progens in New York City. At his memorial service in New York and London, attendees are distributed programs carrying a message from Henson. Please watch out for each other and love and forgive everybody. It's a good life. Enjoy it. Well, that's lovely, isn't it?
It is.
Easier printed in a program than done, Hawes.
You ain't lying, my friend. Woo. Sorry, Jim. Can't do that one for you, buddy. Love your work. Some people don't get forgiven.
Henson's legendary creations from both Sesame Street and The Muppet Show include Bert, Gonzo, Miss Piggy, and Kermit the Frog. Oh, yeah, because you don't really see Bert hanging out with Bert and Ernie and Kermit that often.
Oh, okay.
It's like Indiana Jones hanging out with Princess Leia.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sort of, maybe.
Jim Henson, born in Mississippi.
Really?
Yep, not too far from where I'm from.
Interesting. The Jim Henson Studios is not far from here.
Didn't that get sold recently?
I believe it may have.
Yeah.
I believe it may have. Let's head to Yoda in Bronze. Oh, you might be able to. Can you read that one,
Yeah,
Hawes?
I got you, buddy. Yoda in Bronze. To commemorate the 10th anniversary of The Empire Strikes Back, the fan club offers for sale a bronze Yoda sculpture by artist Lawrence Noble, a professional illustrator who had previously worked on poster concepts for the movie. Limited to an edition of 50 and priced at $500, the bronze cast is from Noble's clay sculpt of Yoda, his very first effort at sculpture that he made 10 years earlier. And it's 9 inches tall.
Hawes, you got to hit eBay for this one, buddy.
Well, first we need to, I've already got the inflation calculator pulled up because I saw this when we were looking through the stuff. I want to see how much that would cost in 2025 money. Okay. $1,200. So that was equivalent to a $1,200 statue. Oh, you know that bronze statue is expensive. Okay. Star Wars Yoda bronze statue fan club, you think?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh. This is a bad sign, buddy. I'm not seeing any.
Well, there's only 50.
Oh, I thought it. Oh, yeah, there was only 50. Oh, yeah. Nobody said. I don't. Oh, no, this is a Gentle Giant one. This isn't the same one. Yeah, that's not the same one. This Gentle Giant one is $2,000.
What about if you in eBay? What about Lawrence Noble Yoda bronze?
Yoda bronze. That's a good call.
What about if you click on? Can you add like previously sold or completed auctions?
Oh, that's a good call. Let me see.
Because they're not saying it's going to be like available all the time.
All the time, no. Mm-mm. When I do previously sold, it's just a Noble Studio Star Wars Obi-Wan bronze mini bust statue, and it was like $700.
Well,
You know that's expensive. I hate to see how expensive that is. I bet you Gus Lopez has one.
I'm going for like 10 grand.
Yeah, only 50 of them. Yeah.
It's like you've like the little inscription underneath is like you've played well at baseball that year or something.
Right? What's it say? The Empire Strikes Back 10th anniversary. Sculpture by L. Noble. Produced by, I can't see who it's, Killian Enterprises?
Yeah.
Maybe? Killian Enterprises? Man, I bet you that is very, very expensive if you can even find one.
Alrighty.
And then the question becomes, doesn't bronze tarnish? So if you find one, I guess it's a question of how well it's been maintained.
What do you mean it tarnishes?
Like, doesn't bronze tarnish? Like, it gets, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, it discolors?
Yeah, I don't know. I got Jackie like I think it's a bronze or a copper cat statue
Uh-huh.
from the beloved by both me and Ben Mendelsohn Camberwell Market in Australia.
Okay.
And yeah, I got some sort of cleaner and polish it up real nice.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, it does tarnish, but you can polish it. I just wonder, like, I don't know, if you're one of the 50 people that has one of these, I'm sure you're taking care of it.
It's like what The Rock used to say. You got to polish it up real nice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hawes, now this Maniac Mansion, does this image conjure any, as a video game connoisseur, what does this do to your emotions?
I love this era of Lucasfilm games. Maniac Mansion sort of kicked it off, but they did a lot of games sort of in this style, and I'm a big fan of these. This was before at this point, my parents had a computer at home. My dad did, but it couldn't run games like this. It was definitely an older computer from like maybe the mid 80s or so.
I love how it couldn't run games like this.
It couldn't.
Like a 10-year-old iPhone could play this game.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, and this was really before they had gotten into really doing like Star Wars computer games at this point.
So I should actually, I'll read the caption because this is very very interesting. Not what I expected at all. From game to screen, July 23rd, Lucasfilm Limited Television joins with Atlantis Films Limited and the Family Channel to start production on Maniac Mansion, a comedy series based on Lucasfilm Games' 1987 computer adventure. It is produced by Eugene Levy and stars Joe Flattery, who are both alumni of SCTV, a comedy troupe. After its September premiere, the program is hailed by Time magazine as the looniest, sweetest family comedy of the year. So this is like a show of the video game that we probably would have covered about 5 episodes ago.
Yes. Yeah. And I remember this show vaguely. I remember seeing previews for it, but don't remember a ton about it. Honestly, I'm not even sure if I ever actually watched an episode. I just remember seeing commercials for it.
All right, wait there. I'll see if I can.
Oh, there'll definitely be something out there.
But yeah, keep talking about the Maniac Mansion.
So Maniac Mansion was the first entry in this series, and then they did a sequel maybe a couple years later called Maniac Mansion Day of the Tentacle, which you can play on new consoles now. They did like a remake of it not that long ago. That's really solid.
The Day of the Tentacle.
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
And then they would later use the same gameplay mechanics and system for this game, and they would make some Indiana Jones games with that system that were really good. I'm sure they will be in this book at some point. And Loom is another one of their very good games that I like. And then I want to say within 2 or 3 years of 1990 is when they released X-Wing.
Oh, no spoilers, buddy. All right, let's check out what this Maniac Mansion show's all about.
All began as an innocent little lab accident, and now Uncle Harry is an uncommon housefly, and 4-year-old Turner is as big as Dad. But the Edison family makes the best of a bizarre situation in their happy home known as Maniac Mansion.
I want you to meet the Edisons. Ike, Idella, Turner, Tina, Casey, and Harry.
Over here! Down! To the right! How you doing?
Maniac Mansion accentuates the positive as the looniest, sweetest family comedy of the year.
No matter what through thick and thin, and no matter how strange your family may it's the family stays together. They stay close knit.
Experience Maniac Mansion on Sunday and Friday night, only on the Family Channel.
Not a great commercial.
Must miss.
Must miss TV. I wonder how many seasons that show went for.
Yeah, I'm guessing one.
I'll say 2. Oh, we were both wrong. That show went on for 3 seasons and 66 episodes.
Wow.
That is too much.
All right.
All right.
Oh, wow. I remember this very clearly. Oh, maybe I don't. Maybe it was different. I always thought it was in January. But in August 2nd, Iraq invades Kuwait. Oh, no. I remember when America invaded Iraq. Iraq invades Kuwait, overriding its military in only 2 days. The action leads directly to the Gulf War.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember I'm sure it will probably come up, but the green, all the missiles at green. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember watching that at the skate park going, oh, better skate. I think we might all die.
That was an odd time, like in general, because they made Gulf War trading cards. I'm not joking. You could go to a place that sold trading cards and get a pack of Gulf War trading cards, and it would be like generals and different air, like jets and weaponry and stuff. Very odd. Very odd.
That is quite odd. But also in August is the Darkman. Wait there.
Oh, heck yeah.
A very blurry photo I've got there. But August 21st, Sam Raimi, who that's like Evil Dead and Spider-Man, yeah?
Mm-hmm. And the latest Doctor Strange movie, I think, was his most recent thing he did.
Yeah, because the Evil Dead guy was in it.
Yes, Bruce Campbell.
Sam Raimi's Darkman is released, starring Liam Neeson. Qui-Gon Jinn. In the title role, this film brings the 38-year-old Neeson much wider public recognition. I do have the trailer. I feel like I must have seen this film.
Mm-hmm.
But
I definitely did. This was the first movie I ever rented from Blockbuster Video. Like the day Blockbuster Video opened in my hometown, my dad and I went up there. He said, "You pick out a movie." I said, "I'm going Darkman. Let's go."
Really? I remember the first video I ever rented of my choice was The Last Starfighter.
That's a good choice.
And then we got one a week. And I remember like getting home and going, oh my God, I've never seen The Empire Strikes Back. What am I doing?
Oh, no.
And then the next week it was like, yeah, Empire Strikes Back.
Mm-hmm.
But that was when you only had the videos for a day.
Yeah, yeah. New releases. Oh, you remember you could go into a video store and older movies, anything like older than a year, you could rent for 5 days, but new releases were 1 day.
Yeah. Oh, when like weeklies didn't start in Australia for a long time. And
oh, really?
When weeklies started, and it was like, yeah, you get like 10 movies for $10. And like in the 90s, so much free time, no internet.
Oh, yeah. Mm-mm.
And it was just like, let's go. Like I did the whole Star Trek Next Generation. Like I just pile through series.
Yeah. I remember when I got my first job, Friday night, when I got off work, straight to Blockbuster, 5 to 6 movies that had me set for the weekend. You know what I mean? Go into the sci-fi section, grab a couple I haven't seen, horror movie section, grab a couple.
I didn't step to that horror film section. Sci-fi section though, banging. And at our video shop, that my favorite one, it would beep if you'd hired it before. Like they would get.
Oh, like when you went to check out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
And they'd be like, and I would pretty much permanently have all the Kevin Smith films.
Yeah. Right.
And it's like, oh, you've had this one. I'm like, you've had this one before. And I'm like, that's right.
Mm-hmm. Checking it out again.
I'm going for ownership.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's check out what Darkman's all about. Is he invisible? What is the Darkman's power?
He is a vigilante that gets all scarred up, and he has to wrap himself in bandages. I don't know that he. I'm trying to remember.
Does he fight lamps? Is that the thing?
No, he fights an evil scientist, maybe, or an evil doctor.
All right.
From what I remember.
Somewhere in the city,
Uh-oh.
a brilliant scientist.
First of all, this voiceover.
Perfect.
Oh my God, that affected the hand. That's pretty sick.
Is on the verge of an amazing discovery.
The cells, they're holding. They're stable.
Finally, we can replace damaged skin tissue.
Then,
no foolish heroics, if you please.
So sorry, if you're listening to the podcast version, Liam Neeson invents a fake hand, and then there's some random dude comes in and punches him in the face
Across a table. Like he flies across the table and knocks a bunch of beakers off.
they destroyed everything he had. All that he loved. Everything that he was. Now, crime has a new enemy, and justice has a brand new face.
I was afraid that you wouldn't want me anymore.
Of course I still want you.
The good news is that I know who's behind our little troubles of late. Finish it. Look about you. It's all mine.
He has the power to look like any man.
Let's go, both sons of witches!
But he is unlike any man.
I gotta tell you something about me. He's a cockroach. You think you kill him? And he pops up someplace else.
In the darkest hour,
Julie, who's the real monster here?
there's a light that shines on every human being. But one. From director Sam Raimi. Darkman.
I might watch Darkman tonight.
Now, Hawes, can you just look up for me on Wikipedia like is Darkman's one power that he can make sweet masks? Is that it?
Let me pull it up here for you, bud. All right. Darkman, Peyton Westlake, is a superhero and the protagonist of the 1990 movie and its sequels. There were sequels. But was placed in a clinic that was used to sever Westlake's pain receptors, which enhances his strength, but leaves him unable to feel tactile sensations. However, these experiences affected his mental stability, and he became an impulsive, sarcastic, and violent man. Bandage in a trench coat, synthetic skin, which only lasts 90 minutes, and the light. I do remember that. Yes, so he powers and abilities. Due to clinical experiments, the nerve endings connected to Darkman's skin have been severed, rendering him immune to pain, but unable to feel physical sensations. To compensate for his loss of physical feelings, adrenaline flows unchecked through Darkman's body, enhancing his physical strength, speed, agility, reflexes, stamina, and durability.
I was going to be very critical if his one power was he could make a sweet mask.
They should call him Mask Man.
Because he's they did show him like as Liam Neeson.
Quite a lot.
Yeah, so it was post his burning, so he'd made a sweet Liam Neeson mask. And I was gonna say, like, his Liam Neeson mask it's spot on. Like, it's flawless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, interesting. It's so weird because he's just such a Qui-Gon. So
right.
it's weird just to see him there and like he was pre Qui-Gon. Imagine the people that ran out and hired Darkman when the cast was out.
Right. So I guess Liam Neeson was only Darkman in the first movie. He didn't come back for the other two.
It was him, just with a different mask.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
I desperately hope that's how they would have explained it.
Oh, I mean, you have such an easy out if it is.
All right, now Hawes, this brings me great anger. Lucasfilm Fan Club, issue 12. Cover behind the scenes of Lucasfilm's new series, Maniac Mansion. Not only can you not watch this show in Australia at the time, who cares?
Right.
Like, I'm here for Star Wars, maybe Indiana Jones, a little dash. But I remember this magazine and just like sort of wanted to it's like, be better! More Star Wars. And looking in like in the middle, they'd have like the mail order catalog. It's just like, why are you bringing out these plates? Just bring out more action figures. No one wants a plate. Ugh. Infuriating. Red Tails, issue 12 of the Lucasfilm Fan Club magazine announces that Lucasfilm will soon bring production of the motion picture Red Tails. Who cares?
You know what? That is very, to me, the story of Red Tails is very fascinating considering it was 1990, right, when they announced that they were going to be going into production, and that movie didn't come out until like 2011 or 2012.
Oh yeah, and I don't want to disparage the story of Red Tails.
No, but where's the Star Wars?
I just want to find out what happens after Return of the Jedi.
You know what's funny to me about Red Tails is I remember watching an episode, it must have been the Colbert Report, that George Lucas was on promoting Red Tails when it was coming out. And that man, with his gleaming white tennis shoes, looked right in the camera and said, the closest thing you're ever going to get to a new Star Wars movies is Red Tails. While he was literally in the process of working on the sequel trilogy and selling Lucasfilm.
Got to respect the hustle.
Yep.
George Lucas, my favorite liar.
Same, buddy.
The movie will tell the story of the Tuskegee Airmen, a group of African-American fighter pilots who provided escort for the bombing missions in Europe during World War II. According to the article, the movie is scheduled for release sometime in 1992. Wasn't there recently a thing where they're not allowed to teach the history of that anymore? But then they...
Yeah, we're living in a wonderful time here.
No comment. I'm not allowed to...
I'm about to become Darkman myself.
As a visitor in your country, I'm not allowed to have an opinion about such things.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah. Oh.
So they said 1992. They were close. They were only off by 20 years.
Sweet action.
Came out in January 11th of 2012. So like about 9 months before we find out that there's going to be more Star Wars movies. George didn't direct this. He just helped produce it. But also who helped produce it, our buddy, got to go see Liam in Prague. Rick McCallum.
Prague. Man. Let's go to Prague. Catch up with Rick.
Yeah, if he's there, I'll totally go.
Now this Hawes, I had no knowledge of whatsoever. I'm wondering, with your video game pedigree, you would know of it. But The Adventurer, the first issue of Lucasfilm Games' magazine, The Adventurer, is released. The ongoing mag provides information about upcoming products and company news for customers and fans. The first cover story shines a spotlight on the World War II fight simulator, Secret Weapons of the Luftwaffe.
Luftwaffe, I think?
Yeah, maybe.
I remember my dad playing that game.
Do you remember this magazine at all?
I do.
No
remember
way.
The Adventurer. Yeah, man. So this period in video gaming was like the golden age for adventure games, right? Maniac Mansion, the Indiana Jones game, King's Quest,
the golden age of shit games.
No, buddy, you're talking classics. These are good games. These are games that hold up to this day. Good games.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Come on.
Yeah, I'm telling you, these are all-time classics. Adventure gaming in the 90s on a PC, there was an endless wealth of quality adventure games.
So here's a screenshot from one of the games. Now, how can this be
That's not in an adventure game. That's a flight simulator.
Okay.
This is a different type of game. Now, the only flight simulator I've ever played were like Star Wars ones. So I don't know. I can't speak to the quality of Secret Weapons of the Luftwaffe. But they're adventure games, where it's at.
So what's an adventure game exactly?
So I'm trying to think of a game that you might be familiar with that would so you've never heard of like King's Quest or Space Quest, Leisure Suit Larry?
Oh, I know it exists. It's like a porn video game, isn't it?
What's that?
Isn't it like sort of like a porn video game?
No, it's not really. It was an adventure game made for like adults, but it wasn't porn. It's almost Austin Powers, the video game.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
bit of defensive tone in Hawes' voice there.
Well, I'm personally not a big Leisure Suit Larry fan because my parents were like, no, you're not going to play those games. And I said, okay. So an adventure game, the Lucasfilm or Lucasfilm Games style of adventure game was based on a very sort of simple mechanic. So you'd have a screen. So we'll use Indiana Jones as an example here. So if you got the Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade adventure game, you were basically playing through the movie. And so like say you're in, the chapel where they break the hole open in the floor to get down into the catacombs to find the tomb, yada, yada.
Yeah.
So you would be in there and you use a mouse and you have a selection of different commands. So like talk. So you would click talk and then click on the person on the screen you wanted to talk to. And then it'd give you dialogue options of what you want to say to them. Or you could click grab and grab an item on screen. It's kind of a puzzle on everything's done in a very specific order for the most part. And the stories in them are usually pretty top notch. And especially Lucasfilm and Sierra adventure games.
Yeah, I'll wait there. I've looked up this game here.
This Secret Weapons?
Yeah.
Now this isn't an adventure game. This is a flight simulator. So if you wanted to look up a Lucasfilm adventure game, Secret of Monkey Island is probably their best and most well-known.
Oh, wait. This music's so good.
Ooh. I remember this. I remember my dad playing this.
Why'd the music stop?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of stats here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the engine noise is very
I
true
can't
to
hear
life.
it.
Oh, you can't?
Mm-mm.
Here, wait. I'll just...
Perfect. My dad loved flying video game airplanes where he got to shoot down Nazis. I remember him doing a lot of that on his computer.
Who can blame him?
Not me.
All right. I'll take your word for it on the these adventure game business. And by that, I mean I won't.
Fair enough.
I tell you what holds it. Super Mario 3. There's a game that...
Yeah, well, you're talking about one of the best platform games of all time. Of course it holds up.
Well, there you go.
But I think The Secret of Monkey Island holds up in the same way, but for a different genre of game, an adventure game.
All right, I'll click open this. So you reckon Monkey Island's the bomb?
Oh, I don't reckon. I know it's the bomb.
Okay, all right. Well, that's the next thing. So I'll get that up.
They did. So they just recently, within the last couple of years, released a new Monkey Island game.
All right. Let's check.
And I believe old Ron Gilbert was also involved.
Ronnie J. To share audio, share a tab instead.
There we go.
Wait there. I gotta move this to Chrome.
The best thing about Lucasfilm adventure games is, without fail, in every single one of them, there would be at least one Star Wars reference and one Indiana Jones reference.
Well,
put it in my veins.
What happens on this Monkey Island?
So you play a character by the name of Guybrush Threepwood. You are sort of your classic naive screw up type of character, right? And you are trying to become a pirate, get a ship, and hunt down Monkey Island, which has like a treasure that you're hunting down from a ghost pirate by the name of LeChuck.
Okay, well, I'll hit this. October, with the amazing theme in the background. Secret of Monkey Island. Lucasfilm Games releases the graphical adventure game The Secret of Monkey Island. Designed by Ron Gilbert, it wins accolades for its humor as the player controls young Guybrush Threepwood through a series of challenges that pit him against the villainous ghost pirate LeChuck. I've had a few big nights out and had a LeChuck on the way home.
Me too, buddy.
A Monkey Island employs an updated version of the Scum engine originally introduced for Maniac Mansion. Lucasfilm Games also releases the fantasy adventure game Loom at the same time.
Oh my God, I love Loom.
And several references to Loom are included as in-jokes in the Monkey Island storyline.
Now, this is the version that's true to 1990. Later, they would put out a CD-ROM release that had full dialogue too.
Ah, okay. Monkey Island Special Edition.
Pretty much.
Until now, you've always had to read the text on Monkey Island.
This is still the opening, like the sort of little opening cutscene.
All right, I'll fast forward to a bit of gameplay here.
Yeah. Okay, you see what I mean by your commands down there at the bottom?
Oh yeah, this is you've got a gas leak down in that house of yours.
No, man, this is good. If you ever come to hang out in Birmingham, I'll put you in front of a computer with a little Monkey Island and guarantee you have a good time.
I'm booking a ticket now, Hawes. Oh.
Well, and we'll go to the skate park. You know, speaking of that skate park, we had a bit of a celebrity in Birmingham chopping it up at the skate park. Old Bam Margera.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jerry, where I last saw him?
Oh, where was that?
Not in person.
Oh.
But he was last spotted by like on the internet at Hulk Hogan's son's wedding last weekend.
So he might have gone from Birmingham to that because it was last week sometime when he was in Birmingham.
So
yeah, I would have really been a lot more excited if maybe it was someone else that was at the skate park in Birmingham.
Yeah.
He did say though it's one of the best around. I mean, if you want to take his word for it, I don't blame you if you don't.
Yeah, nah, he's just been wrung out to dry, that dude.
Yeah.
He's
so you talk to this prisoner here, right?
Okay.
And he tells you that he can help you get a ship, but you got to break him out of prison. So you got to go get grog, like the pirate drink grog, and it's caustic. So you have to get a bunch of extra mugs to pour it into before your mug disintegrates. And you come in here and you pour the grog in the lock and you get that guy out, and then he helps you steal a ship.
All right, so you legit play this game.
Oh, yeah. They did a
there's
remake.
like virtual reality masks you can put on now and you're in another world. But
and those are cool too. But to me, this might not be the best analogy, but to me, this is the equivalent of looking back on an old skateboarding video and being like, well, it's not as good as what they're doing nowadays, which is not true, right?
That analogy does not.
I think it does.
I don't think it does at all.
I think it might.
No.
Well, you're right.
Because it's like an old album. Like an old album is still...
Yeah. And this is the equivalent of an old album for adventure games.
Yeah, but you got to click down and click on breath mint.
Yeah. That's your inventory. That's what you have in your inventory. Now, they did a remake of this maybe about 10 years ago. If someone really wanted to play Monkey Island, I would recommend the new one. Look up Monkey Island remake. Oh, I recognize that. So what you're doing here is you're going around the island, getting in sword fights with folks, trying to convince them to be part of your crew. So here's the crew all together.
How's this dude's got 2 hooks for hands?
Mm-hmm.
Man, you'd reckon you'd learn your lesson on the first one.
Look, do me a favor. Pull up Monkey Island remake.
Do I have to?
Yeah, just so you can see what the most modern version of the game looks like. I bet you if you just, remastered. There it is, number 2. Boom. There it is.
Ring bell for service.
Look, it's
wow.
it's in the exact same location that we were before, the shop.
A step away from the counter for 2 seconds and some idiot's already ringing that stupid bell.
Oh, what an adventure. Some old man yelling at you.
Swordmaster says you can jump in the lake, by the way. What do you want?
So, like I said, if somebody really wanted to check these out, I would recommend this version. The nice thing is if you really want, you can get this version and you can switch the graphics back and forth.
1 cinnamon stick, 4 leaves of mint, 1 human skull, pressed, 1 squirt squid ink.
Jeez.
Telling you, buddy. I have a feeling some people might back me up on Monkey Island in its classic status. I don't know, though. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I find... I don't know how anyone plays any video games, to be honest. But
That's fair.
So I'm not really the best arbiter of what's classic or not. But I got to say that Super Mario 3 is pretty good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like I said, you're when you bring up Super Mario 3, you're talking about one of the best games in that genre, if not the best. I think maybe Super Mario World might be a tiny bit better.
To be honest, I've just totally got video games out of my system.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would far rather play a pinball.
Oh, well, me too, buddy, but I can play video games for a fraction of the cost and don't have to go out in public and be awkward in a pinball place.
I used to be...
Well, I don't know that I would rather play a pinball, but I would love to have a pinball to play. They're just very expensive.
I'm still pretty good, but I used to be amazing. Like $1 on that Batman the movie, and
that's a good one.
I'd leave like bored, and there'd be 5 credits on there.
You remember? So you were talking about your big haul of Star Wars vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
The summer between my senior year in high school and starting college, I found somebody about 2 hours away from where I lived selling a Nightmare on Elm Street pinball machine for $450. And I was like, hey, Dad, I think I want to get this pinball machine. Would you mind? Because, like, I had a car. My dad had a truck. There's no way I could go fit a pinball machine in my car. I was like, do you mind if we make this drive and, bring the pinball machine back? And he was like, absolutely not. Do you know how expensive that pinball machine is now?
How much?
Ooh, very expensive.
What's your ultimate pinball?
Ultimate pinball machine, it would probably be a Star Wars one. If I had to have one pinball machine, I would definitely go Star Wars. The question then becomes which one.
Shoot the Death Star.
The newer ones are cool. The ones made by Stern, they did like one that's just regular Star Wars, and they did most recently, I think they did a Mandalorian one. Both of those are really cool. The newer Star Wars one even has like a little mini game where you're piloting the Falcon through an asteroid field using the controls on the side of the pinball for like bonus points and extra balls and stuff. I really like the, is it the special edition pinball machine that's got like the Death Star and the X-Wing toys in the play field?
Yeah, I don't know. The 90s one that had the like shoot the Death Star and the Death Star spun.
Yes, that's the one I'm talking about.
That's a pretty good one. But yeah, I did play some newer ones. I don't think I've played the Mandalorian one.
I haven't played it because it's the Star Wars one is at one of my, like a bar restaurant that I like to go to.
I feel like I played a new one about 7 or 8 years ago. I'd say 8 years ago. And it might have just been original trilogy, and it was pretty good.
I think that's the one where I'm talking about too. And the weird thing about Stern is they make, every time they do a pinball machine, they do 3 different versions. They do the standard version, they do like a deluxe version, and then a collector's version. And the gameplay itself are very similar, but there's some extra little things with the different versions. But they're pretty nice. They're just very expensive. If I could get a Star Wars pinball and then that 90s Sega Star Wars arcade game. Do you remember that one? It's the one where I think the first level obviously is Death Star, and then
90s.
I think it's called Star Wars Trilogy is the actual name of the arcade. And if you do well in the regular levels, there's in between levels where you play as Luke Skywalker from like a first person's perspective holding the lightsaber. So there's one, like the very last one is, fighting Vader in Return of the Jedi. There's one part of it is Boba Fett, fighting Boba Fett over the Sarlacc pit.
I want to tell you the Indiana Jones pinball from the 90s is pretty good.
Really good. That one is. I remember going into the local arcade in my hometown, Diamond Gems, and you would go in and it was all pinballs and sort of like an L shape right near the entrance. And then there was pool tables and then the arcades all in the back. And they had 20 something pinball machines, like every license you could think of. Addams Family, Twilight Zone. That Addams Family pinball, pretty good too.
That's the spirit thing. Lend a hand.
Yep.
I remember being on the bus at high school, and someone going, there was this guy, his nickname was Grandpa because his teeth were far apart. And the talk on the bus was like, Grandpa got 38 bear kicks last night. It was like bear kicks was like some sort of bonus thing on the Addams Family pinball. I didn't, it was okay, but I sort of just didn't like the franchise. The one
I'm not into the franchise much
in that era. King of the Mountain, Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
That's a good one. That is a really good one.
You get multi-ball on that one and like, nice shot. It's Judgment Day.
There's
no. It's payback time. And every ramp would be like 10 million or something. Oh. And it would go, like every time you hit the ramp, it would do this noise that, And if you had multi-ball during payback time, you were just racking up like,
Yeah. And they have a, speaking of Evil Dead, they have a Evil Dead pinball that's either coming out or it's already out.
Oh, okay. That's why I don't recall.
I'm looking on Stern's website right now, and they've got 3 bangers up for order. They have Dungeons and Dragons, they have X-Men, and John Wick.
Oh, okay. I tell you, Star Trek: The Next Generation had a pretty good pinball.
They did. They sure did.
Very easy to manipulate the ball. It was I had that at TAFE, which was sort of like poor man's university in Australia, and I could they had that at the cafeteria, and I could skip a few classes on a buck. It was at that time I could really like not just keep the ball in play, but like I'm going to shoot it at that ramp and go, and it would.
That's the dream.
It was like I could just lock in multi-ball. It was such a misuse of talent.
I remember one time going into Diamond Gyms with the sole intent of there were two things I wanted to do that day. I wanted to play Mortal Kombat 2, and I wanted to play the Star Wars maybe special edition pinball, right? That's the two things I wanted to do. So I go in there, I get stomped by some random people in Mortal Kombat 2, and I go over to the Star Wars pinball machine, and there's a dude who I can vividly remember as looking like what you would consider like your stereotypical 90s nerd, right? Like he would be in Revenge of the Nerds. And he was playing the Star Wars pinball, and I'm just, awkwardly and quietly waiting my turn. And he looks over at me and he goes, "You're going to be waiting a while, kid." And I was like, all right, well, I'll go play a different one then. And he was right. But when I left, he was still going at it.
Oh, man. Well, I remember the dudes at like our pinball place was pretty like, who knows what else was going on there.
Right. Yeah.
And there'd be a few like local aces like on Terminator and that. And it'd just be like, oh, yeah, this guy's
legend. This guy's the legend. Interestingly enough, there's this guy that I have been following on Reddit who's building his own tool pinball machine.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
I can't even imagine what a degree in electrical and mechanical engineering. I can't even imagine making my own, but like it looks legit so far. It's fascinating.
Interesting. All right, we've got two more little tidbits. This one's very quick as we get to the end of 1990. Jurassic Park.
Ooh.
Michael Crichton's novel, Jurassic Park, hits bookshelves. Universal's decision to snap up the movie rights in May is justified when the book becomes a bestseller. So they got it. They got in early before the book was even released.
Mm-hmm.
Insane. I have not watched the trailer for the new one, but
I haven't either. It came out today, didn't it?
Yeah, people are raving about it.
Gareth Edwards. I'm rooting for him, man.
People are like fanning out over like, oh, there's a Spinosaurus and a new T-Rex. It's like, yeah, can't they just make any dinosaur? Like,
yeah,
I don't. But people are tripping out over it.
I'll be honest with you, buddy. That last Jurassic Park trilogy kind of killed any interest I have in the franchise. So if this looks halfway decent,
Trevor Alza. I just remember the auction. Like it's like, dude,
you got to put it out of reach.
Like they were selling like dinosaurs for like under $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on. It's a dinosaur.
Yeah, exactly.
I found that very but I do love Scarlett Johansson. I find her very watchable.
Me too.
Mm-hmm. Once had breakfast opposite her.
Nice. What'd she have for breakfast? Could you tell? Probably something healthy.
Yeah, I don't know. I tried not to stare. She was there with a little boy, I think.
Oh, okay.
So I tried to respect her privacy while also going, oh, it's the Black Widow.
Right.
But she had her hair tied back with a little LA cap on and
Scar Joe.
Joe Scar. So there you go. Then finally, I'll pull this one up. Because it's a beautiful image. Not that. Actually, it's not even on the screen. This is the beautiful image that I accidentally put up. The pixelated
cockpit of a World War II fighter plane.
Oh, let's get to the... There we go. The Earth from space. That's a beautiful image, isn't it?
It sure is. There's one problem with this image, Steele. We all know the Earth is flat. So why are they trying to fool us with this?
I don't know, buddy. I don't know. Blue Planet, the IMAX feature Blue Planet premieres, directed by Ben Burt and produced by the IMAX Space Technology Corporation for the National Aerospace Museum. It features views of the Earth filmed from orbit on space shuttle missions. The narrative, written by Tony Myers, focuses on our planet's origins and its ecological fragility.
IMAX was around in 1990? I
Yeah,
had no idea.
But you had to learn something if you were going to go.
Yeah, you had to go to like a planetarium or a museum. Wow.
The fact that people go into space is... We really underestimate how gnarly that is.
Yeah. I was watching a YouTube video, one of those things that gets recommended to you that's like most disturbing videos taken from space. And I was like, what is this? Get all interested in it, and I'll tell you.
God, the algorithm knows you, Hawes.
The first one it showed me like almost gave me an anxiety attack, and that was it. And it was the first untethered spacewalk. Too much. Can't do it. Too much things. I was like, all right, that is disturbing. You guys advertise this correctly. I'm going to watch something else because I can't do this.
Have you seen that For All Mankind?
No.
Dude, if you want to watch a new series, Apple TV, 4 seasons, it is so good. It is so good. Do you know what it's all about? Like, do you know the deal?
It's a alternate history where Russia wins the space race instead of the US. Okay.
Yeah, and because they win, then America's like, we're gonna do something, and so it's like we're gonna have a base on the moon, and so the space technology speeds up, but it jumps like it leaps forward like every season or whatever, like, you know, sometimes like 15 years.
Oh, okay.
But like with the same characters. So like,
oh, okay.
It is fat.
Now, is that over?
Well, there's another season, and then they're doing a prequel that's going to show the Russian point of view.
Ooh, okay.
Which will be very interesting, because there is like some Russians in it, like, but I'm actually in it as a camera person. A lovely morning's work out in Pasadena, where you at. But it's if you want to tuck into a ripper, it is such a good series.
I'm looking forward. I'll check it out for sure.
You might want to eat spaghetti though.
Do they eat a lot of spaghetti in the show?
One family does.
Okay.
And
I'm making tacos tonight, so maybe not tonight.
But yeah, so good. But yeah, they go on like you know, someone will get lost, like when bad things happen out in space. The tethering, like the whole like I'm just gonna float off until I die. You can keep that.
Don't like it. Do not like it. And that actual footage of the guy, because it was when they were developing, like, you'll see, like, you've seen pictures of astronauts in that like sort of chair, jetpack device. Yeah. And it's just him way off in the distance with the Earth in the background sort of floating around in that thing. And I said, this is I gotta watch something else. This is giving me anxiety. I don't like that.
Stay tethered. Stay on Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can keep your space. You can keep it. Hawes.
Yes, sir.
That is it for 1990. The barren landscape of Star Wars news. But in 91, I can sizzle that the saga continues with the release of Heir to the Empire.
See, now we're getting to the good stuff. When did the glove of Darth Vader come out?
That's a loaded question.
That had to be somewhere around here, right?
I don't know, but the second half of 91, it is on.
Okay, 1992 is when that series
Oh,
started.
yeah. No, that's coming up in a few pages. Yep.
All right, heck yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like, after, like, it's all heating up. Like the second half of 91.
All bangers.
It's mostly Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, and it's only going to continue from here, like, because 91 with Heir to the Empire, we're going to get into Dark Horse Comics fairly soon.
How's this? The second half of 91, you get Dark Empire, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, the movie, and Super Nintendo.
91 was a good year. Let's go back to 91. I would, if I had a time machine, 91 might be the spot.
Yeah, I'd go a little bit later.
I would jump on.
I'd make a fortune on the skateboard deck speculation market. That is
just grab a bunch of them, come back now, set, buddy.
I'm talking. You're flipping like $100 into 5,000.
Yeah.
Insane. But as is tradition, we've got to go back to the future. Do you want to do the honors and we'll do an article?
Yes. How many pages total are in that book?
We're on page 150 of 365 at the moment.
323.
Oh, Jesus. Oh.
I was wondering what you were looking at.
Do you want this heartbreaking entry? So we're in October, December of 2012. We're going to be ending the podcast on a somber tone. November 30th. McCullum's new future. As Lucasfilm prepares for a new future of active production without George Lucas, longtime producer Rick McCullum departs the company for other independent projects. This brings to a close a relationship that has lasted over 20 years, which included the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, Radioland Murders, the Star Wars Trilogy Special Edition, the prequel trilogy, and Red Tails.
Rick,
They don't even give him a photo. There's a picture of Bob Iger on the same page.
Get Bobby I out of there. Let's get Rick McCullum.
That infamous picture. The contract picture. So yeah, that's coming. That is in the deep into but oh god, it says like it's weird, like how when they signed to Disney and it's like, oh, it's going to be Mickey Mouse, it's going to be in Star Wars and that. But when you look at the stuff that was releasing just before this, it's like in the same month that Lucasfilm sold to Disney, earlier that month, somehow Hasbro released a line of Angry Birds Star Wars toys.
This is also in the era where those terrible Star Wars Spike TV commercials were airing.
Oh boy.
That's somewhere in this general area.
All right. There's some very good and some very bad stuff in here.
Mm-hmm.
In these pages. Alrighty, Hawes. That's it. Let's try to bang out another one next week.
Okay.
Are you on a normal schedule or what's going on?
Next week, I'll be free on Wednesday.
All right.
So I could do next Wednesday.
Let's, as they say in one of the weekly videos I hired, make it so. Jean-Luc Picard.
Excellent.
He was also in X-Men, so yes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks to the sickos. Thanks to Hawes' patrons. Thanks to our patrons. And we appreciate your support. And may that force be with you.
See you guys.